What's happening, everybody? It's your man, damednydc. You know what time it is. It's Monday. Brand new episode coming to you live here on Mogul TV. So tonight's guest that are going to be joining me on the mic, it's all about diversity. It's all about that real love, that Mary J love, and really working together to really help educate us and bring about awareness about things that they're dealing with as a couple in today's really unpredictable world, excuse me. But I'm proud to be able to share their story and their conversation tonight. And even more so important, that I really feel blessed because they're podcasters just like me. And it's always great when you can sit down and really just conversate, with other content creators that are doing great things in the community. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and bring to the other mics tonight's guests. I bring to you Brian and Denise Hendershot. Thank you so much. The horns and all that. I really appreciate Brian and Denise for taking time out tonight to really sit here and talk with us. So before we really dive into everything, before there was Truth and Coffee Time podcast, before there was DiverseLuv, there was Brian and Denise.
There was.
Before we dive into everything else, please just take a moment and please introduce Brian and Denise Hendershot to our audience.
Absolutely. First, we want to say thank you for having us on Two Mics Up. You are doing great things as well.
Thank you.
When we joined, we stumbled upon your podcast when we became a member of the Virginia Black Business Directory. So it has just been a pleasure. I want to give them a shout out because it's been a pleasure. We have connected with so many people and so many resources. And so I would suggest anyone who's out there to connect with the VABBD because that's what brought us here with you. So thank you. And who is Brian and who is Denise? Well, Denise, my dear, there was a Denise before Mr. Brian came along. I was raised by my grandparents. So I was raised old school, in the South. Broken home, that's why I was with my grandparents. Meager means, lived in a small little country town with a tin roof, and just decided that I was going to do the best I could to have as many outlets as I could to take away from what I was going through in my home life. That led me to being an athlete and being and eventually joining the military.
Okay.
And so I am a veteran of one of the best fields in the world, the United States Marine Corps, and I want to put that
out. Well, thank you for your service.
Very much so. But then, and so now, coming from there, building that discipline, building that character, being raised by my grandparents who was old school, coming into the military already with that old school mentality. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, sir. It wasn't a big jump from going from one discipline to another discipline.
Right.
Now, married, wife, grandmother, mother, sister, auntie, I'm an author, podcast host, and most of all, I am a DE&I enthusiast. I was over our Black leadership, ERG and resource group for about 4 years in the DMV for my company, and was able to bring broadcasters and advertisers and ad space together under one roof to really dive into the data and the content of what it means to be in the DE&I space. And not only that, what it means for our Black and Brown population and how we consume content.
Hmm.
So I have a big passion for our culture and how they're consuming the content and how we're spending our dollars,
Love
because
that.
we could do so much better with our dollars,
Whew. Preach.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's
Right.
me.
Brian, please.
That's hard to follow, but our youth is same but different. She grew up in the South. I grew up in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. One parent household. It was split. Same. I was raised by my mother. We meager means, living. I don't even know if she lived paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes the lights out and everything.
Right.
So in the summertime they'll stay out because you need it, right? So
Right.
it was meager means. Then I poured myself into sports, went into the military. I would say the best military, U.S. Army.
Well, I see where this goes all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Not only that, not only do we have the Marine Army battle, but Roll Tide and then his Ohio thing. It's a battle all the time.
My goodness. Oh.
Great.
Oh.
So
Okay.
yeah, so we go back and forth a lot, but so in that we both had, I guess would say meager upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
Went into the military. One was, passive military, but we
can do this all day.
I see. I'll take shots all day.
All day.
I see it.
But yeah, so and then after the military, I worked for the government, and that's where I'm currently at.
Okay.
As a government contractor currently, and we came up with a lot of this stuff through the pandemic because we were sitting around basically having conversations over coffee, and it was like, you know what, let's get out in the world, let's talk to people. And that's when we took a master's class with David Shands, and from then, boom, it kind of blossomed.
Yeah,
that's awesome, because and that's really leads into the next question, really, because of the diversity. And both of you, your backgrounds are similar. Like, let's be clear. I think I want to start there because I think a lot of people watching, and I don't know the mindset of some people, like it's crazy today. Just based on the color of your skin, looking at both of you, some people really would have a hard time understanding that we do come from similar backgrounds.
Yeah, because what he didn't tell you is his grandparents took a very interest in raising him because his mother was a single parent. They lived, in poverty level. And so during the summer, he would spend the summer with his grandparents, and they groomed and molded him. And with the same thing that my grandparents was doing for me. So even different colors, different cultures, we had very similar upbringings, very similar upbringings.
And I think that's important. I really want people to understand, I kind of peel back some of this onion here.
Yeah.
Because although we may look different, sound different, we all are having the same triumphs, tragedies, whatever it may be, right? Now, I'm just curious to know for you both, when you started your family and your unit, like what were some of the challenges that maybe you had to have, and how have you been able together to kind of overcome? Because I know, look, coming from New York, a lot of times, you see mixed couples, you're giving dirty looks, you're getting dirty looks, you hear the whispers and this type of thing. What was it like for both of you, and how did you handle that and work through that together?
So a lot of us, we've always talked. So what most people didn't know about us until we started our podcast is that we were a blind date. So at the time when we met, we didn't know. We hadn't even seen each other yet, I know he had a deep, Barry White voice. So I knew there was a little swirl something going on somewhere.
Okay. Way to go, Brian.
But I did not know he was white. But he knew that I was Black because the contact, our mutual friend, whom he got my number from, or who he stole my number from, told him. So he knew who I was and my color, but I didn't know him at all. So what most people didn't know is that we were a blind date. We actually talked over the phone for days before we met. So we connected emotionally first.
That's awesome.
So we connected on an emotional level before we ever got to a physical or spiritual or mental level. We were already connected emotionally. And when I say connected, I'm telling you, we would stay on the phone for hours, from like 9 at night to sometime 3, 4 in the morning, just talking about everything.
And it wasn't a cell phone; it was one of those ones.
The landline.
I remember, yes.
So she could be in her bed, but I was sitting in the hallway of the barracks.
Trying to whisper, trying to be quiet, trying to so you'll wake up everybody.
Yeah.
I love it. That's great.
So that cultural, we didn't understand that cultural divide at first, because our emotional intellect was connecting. And so when we finally met, we were already connected. We were already jailed. So at that point, I tell people that although we fell deeper in love when we met, we were already in love. We were already in the in love stage, by the time we met. So at that moment, it was like, I don't know what he's going to look like. He doesn't know what I'm going to look like.
Right.
But we're going to have to give it a try because we're already connected.
Love it. That's it.
Thank God.
Hey, look, some things work out. This worked out the best possible way.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love it. I mean, that's a dope story. Like, who would have ever thought, just off of a blind date? Because you don't hear that happen much.
We met October. Right, October.
Yeah, this is even worse.
We met October 11th. Right.
Okay.
October, November, December, January, February 9th, we got married.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So we're talking 120 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's love right there. But see, and that's the beauty of what I would say, when you get to know someone on that level,
on a different level,
right, exactly. And you open up, so you take the blinders off, because you know someone on that plane. And that's important. That's really, look, that's a heck of a story. That's a real dope story, and I'm glad that it's worked out for you. You guys are still here today, rocking together.
Yeah. 33 years, Dame. 33
right.
years.
Oh, right. Look, and you don't even hear that anymore. Look, you go past 3. I mean,
you did that. You made it.
You did it.
We're celebrating.
Yeah, look, hey, look, that's a beautiful thing. That's a blessing, and I wish you many, many more happy years together.
Yeah.
But I want to ask too, on a family level. Again, so you two went through and broke through some barriers and changes. But how has it been? Because a lot of times people they're very hard on children of mixed race. You're right. So I just want to be honest and clear. But how do you both work with your kids, or if you have grandkids, whatever it may be, like, how do you work with them to kind of work with today's craziness?
Go ahead.
I would say, to fully answer your first question about how we raise our kids and how we guarded ourselves is basically that we used to, like, for me, I was just living life. I didn't have a worry in the world.
Right.
I'm just going. But once I attached myself to Denise, at first I still had no worry, didn't have any issues.
Because we didn't understand.
Right.
We truly didn't understand what had just happened.
Right.
Right.
But the world was about to teach us, So in that, we learned how to respect each other's boundaries and understand where you live at and what you do and your family and how your family acts. But we also had to make sure that we were comfortable in it.
Yeah.
Wow. And sometimes you don't get to go some places because your spouse isn't comfortable in that,
Wow.
So you have to guard yourself. Now, as the kids, like when you were talking about kids and how we teach them, we actually, Dame, I would say we learn from them. We've learned.
Well, we're learning from the grandkids more than the kids, because
our kids are closer to the fold.
Right.
Yeah,
The
because
grandkids go further removed.
we've had grown people to call our kids to their face jungle bunnies.
Oh
Mhm.
my
And
goodness.
like grown kids. And it's sad to say, but the most harsh things that has been said to our kids has come from the Black community.
And I believe that. I
You know.
believe that. We are cruel, and this is just a whole nother topic. You know,
Mhm.
the things that have been done to us from generations. We are our own worst
Yeah,
enemy.
yeah.
We degrade ourselves in a
Mhm.
way that is just it's a whole nother
Because
conversation.
we still have ownership
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
You know, we still have that issue within us that makes us feel that we own each other. Like we fought to not be owned.
Yeah.
So we taking that same ownership and we're applying it
Applying
within
it.
our culture.
Yep.
You know, and
Amen.
so my kids was called this. I remember when our middle daughter, she was very young, and the Black couple across our neighbor just was saying some of the most harshest things to her, and they called her a jungle bunny. And now she don't understand this. She equates bunny with something happy.
Yeah.
So when she comes to the house and she's telling us all this, but you can tell her wheels were spinning.
Yeah.
Something didn't feel right about it.
Right.
And so she asked us she asked us about it, and we told her. We've always been very honest with them, and we told her, that's a negative. That's a negative. That's not said to you to build you up. That's said to you to bring you down. We tried to talk to her and said that won't be the first time. It won't be the
Right.
last time that'll happen. But you have to be secure in who you are and know that your mom and your dad loves you, regardless of the color. You were brought here out of love, not out of the need to mix a race.
Wow.
And then to try and have a conversation with a closed-minded person,
It's impossible.
it's a mute
It's
point.
impossible. Yeah, it's
It's a
impossible.
mute point.
Man, that's crazy.
Also, raising a Black son, I would say, being a white man.
Yeah.
I not living in my privilege, but understood it.
Yeah.
Just keep it moving.
Just keep it moving. Yeah.
Right. And the advice that you give to your son, it can't stick because he's walking a different walk.
And we would battle because the advice he would give him, I'm like,
No,
you can't do that.
So the father in me is like, no, I got him. It's gonna be okay. But I kept on trying to talk to him, and he went down some avenues. Even as he got older, as you get older, the society's looking at him as a threat instead of just a little kid. And there are differences that happen. So I had to actually reach out to some of my friends,
black male friends,
right?
That get some advice
and say, you know what? Let's go. We're gonna go talk with them, and they can give you some advice, and they can also
educate you and help you
right on some of the things that I'm trying to teach you. And is there a better way to teach you?
Yeah, because
teaching a man how to be a man is one thing.
Exactly.
But teaching a man to walk in this world and be of a different color is a whole different.
It's a whole different thing.
And I would tell him, Dame, like he would say, but that's my son. And he would be in tears. And I said, yeah, but you're giving your son fatherly advice.
Right.
You need to give him advice, as a white
man.
In
and that's real
world, because you're looked at differently, whether you want it to be or not. Realistically, you're looking at it different. And we got there, but the real test was one night him and my son was in the car driving and a police pulled them over. And the way this police treated him
versus your son
versus my son was very evident. Yeah.
And it's not, and I'm just curious, Brian, like, I mean, we're talking about like, how was that for you to have that play out in front of you, with you there? Like how, how did that make you feel? Or like, was that like another awakening for you, if you will?
Well, it's happened 2 or 3 times with 3 different people.
Wow.
And they were all Black, and it's happened in 3 different states. And I can tell you the worst thing that ever happened to us is we were driving through southern Georgia, and it was me, my wife, our 3 kids, they were very young, and we got pulled over, and I didn't think we were going to make it. I didn't think that we were actually going to live. So when he asked me to step out, he said, "Who are these people to you?" I said, "They're my family." And he's like, "Well, I need you to step out the vehicle." When I stepped out the vehicle, the other cop was going to the vehicle. So I had
easing up on the side.
Yeah, on the side.
So I actually had to like shield. I was like, no. Hold on a second. You can talk to me here,
Right.
And then it got heated. This older gentleman was whittling on a piece of wood. The other guy had his hand on the gun.
Some nightmare.
Oh my gosh. We thought when we got in the car and he said, "You're going to make it out of here. You're going to leave here and you're going to go to Florida, but don't come back through here." I think we took the longest route ever coming back.
I know that's right. Look, I know that's right.
What you have to do to survive the moment sometimes is not what you want to do. Right. But it's what you have to do to protect the people that you're with.
I totally get it.
And to protect yourself, like the same things we tell my son, because at one point, like our son now is 30. Right? He's 30.
30.
Ish. Ish. Yeah, he's 30. There was a phase not so long ago that he went through that he just had all kind of negative things to say about white people. There was a phase that he was so hurt because several things had happened to him on a job, with the police, with this, and it all involved white men. And he went through this phase where he was angry and he had hatred, and he would look at his dad and he would be crying, like they would have screaming matches, and he would look at him and he said, "You will never understand. You will never understand."
That's heartbreaking.
You'll never.
Got to be heartbreaking.
Yeah, and it was heartbreaking for him because they're both crying, they're both screaming at each other. And my husband would say, "I will never understand, but I'll always be here for you." Wow. And so those are things that you got to battle through.
Yeah, that's powerful. And that's what this is all about. Somebody walks away with this message, could be all the difference of how someone makes a choice or makes a decision.
Right.
And I really hope that someone walks away with that and really understands that, from this piece. Look, we've been talking. I haven't even had a chance. Really, no, and this is the great part of it. And this is where I get to make executive decisions. Right? My wife will probably over here like she looking at me because right now she giving me the she getting flashing the 5 and all this here. So this is executive decision time, right? So this is what we're going to do because we haven't even got into the podcast yet. So what I'm going to do, and what I'm going to ask you to, because ladies and gentlemen, y'all getting this right here on this episode. I want to bring you guys back live, and we do a live conversation. So we can dive in more about, DiverseLuv.
Yeah.
So we can dive in about the podcast because 30 minutes is not enough.
It's not enough.
And we have just scratched the surface here. So I'm making executive. We're gonna reconnect and go ahead and find a date and time that we can get together on a Wednesday night.
Okay.
And we're going to sit together live. We're going to do this live.
Okay.
And we're going to dive into everything because you two have been a pleasure to talk with so far, and there's just so much more that we haven't even gotten into. And
thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you.
No, look, this is what I love though. When you meet creators, and it's not even about creators. This is real life stuff first and foremost. And I believe there's no better story than life. And I believe it. You have to use examples and figure out. How can I apply this message to maybe something I'm not doing or something that I'm missing.
Yeah.
And you two this is one of the things I wanted to talk about, but you brought out so much more. I can keep asking questions about the diversity and background because there's very few people that I've met that I know that are, an interracial couple that would be comfortable enough to really sit down and share these stories. Right. And our community, like I said, this is needed. This is therapeutic, if you will. Right. So we're going to come back with it. But before we leave out of here, I'm going to ask you both, please give your social media information so that I can make sure. Okay, right. We're gonna let the boss. We're gonna let the boss do it, and we're gonna put it all in the show notes. And then, ladies and gentlemen, please stay connected and follow because we're going to definitely bring Brian and Denise back and we're going to talk about their podcast and everything else that they're doing because they're authors and everything else. And we're going to have to do this live because we need more time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. So we're Brian and Denise, affectionately known as Mr. B and D, and we are Truth and Coffee Time podcast, and we are on every major podcast platform. We release every Wednesday. We are at DiverseLuv on all social media platforms as well, at DiverseLuv, DiverseLuv, everywhere. Also, our website, www.diverseluv.com or www.truthandcoffeetime.com. We have a children's book out there called Grandjoy that really dives into the celebration of diversity around our family. I also have an ebook out there called Give Yourself Grace Daily. I did that ebook because of all the harshness and all the things that I've went through and as a mother, as a wife, as a just a female period, and how we as especially Black females, we're so hard on ourselves. So I did an ebook called Give Yourself Grace. Be easy on yourself.
That's
So
so like sensational. That's
absolutely, absolutely. So hit us up, guys. Hit us up. We have some great guests also coming on our podcast. Just amazing entrepreneurs, movie, sci-fi artists. We have Black travelers who wants to come and talk about their diversity experience, across the waters. We just have some great stuff coming up. So we're so grateful to be on Two Mics Up and hope you guys follow us.
Well, thank you so much, Brian, Denise. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another great episode that we're gonna bring back. We're gonna bring back, and we're gonna hit this up again with some more. Thank you, Brian and Denise, for sharing your mic with me and us tonight. Great
Absolutely.
conversation. Look forward to talking to you both again real soon. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow Two Mics Up across social media, IG, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Two Mics Up. Make sure you go ahead and you watch season 5, Two Mics Up on Moguls TV, Moguls TV Network. You can find it on your Amazon and Roku TV devices or online at themoguls.tv. Like we always do at this time, ladies and gentlemen, may you all stay safe, stay blessed, and mics out.